On this episode of AV Week, we talk about how manufacturers gain your loyalty. The CEA is now the CTA, and is it time to consider drones? All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
AV Week is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like Vadio. This is AV Week, episode 221, recorded Friday, November 13th, 2015. Drone drama.
Ready.
AV Week.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AV Week. AV Week. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host for the week. With us is Mr. Matt D. Scott from Omega Audio Video in London, Ontario, Canada. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I think my internet's stable.
Didn't you say it was snowing where you are?
It was, yeah. It's a terrible day.
I'm terribly sorry. I feel for you. That's what happens in Canada, though. Also, this is Kelly Perkins from AVI Systems. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing well, and you too?
Doing well as well. It's not snowing where I am, so.
I wish it was snowing where we are.
Well, you're close. You're in Minnesota, so you're like next week.
I'm ready. It's windy and cold. It's like, just let it rip.
Yeah.
That is the key. Once it gets cold, I just want snow. I don't want it to be cold, below freezing, and green.
They were playing Christmas music at Caribou Coffee yesterday.
That's ridiculous.
I was all in the mood.
No, absolutely not. Not even Thanksgiving yet. Not even Thanksgiving yet. You can do everything you want after Thanksgiving. So
I bought a Christmas album like last week.
Oh, jeez.
Fantastic. I'm in the door.
Well, I bought a Starbucks cup this week, so I was happy about that.
There you go.
All right.
But that wasn't Christmas.
It's
just red. It wasn't Christmas.
It was awesome. Last but not least, George Tucker, the left-hand side of my brain. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, and I'm about to leave all of you people wanting snow. It's 61 degrees here, and I'm very happy. Thank you.
Oh, since we're already doing weather, George is in New Jersey. New York. So,
Matt, did you simply buy the Christmas album, or did you play it?
No, I bought it and played it.
Good point. No, good point.
All right, I'm done with you.
Good point. See, I don't.
You're dead to me.
No. The wife is already. She's like, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband has already got his Christmas tree up, right?
Oh, good God!
Oh yeah,
we
absolutely.
We have one up already.
My wife Michelle is like, can we put ours up?
Sure,
I'm like, no. I'm going to AVWeek next week, and I said, Dwayne's my brother-in-law. I said, you are more than happy to come over next week while I'm in Florida at AVWeek. Put up whatever you want. Have it done ready when I get back. Knock yourself out. So, all right, let's kick this off. Our buddy Josh Trago sent this over to me, and I thought it was very interesting. From CTA.tech, the Consumer Electronics Association. If you don't know who that is, you probably know one of the major shows that they put on. It's a little show called CES every year. International Technology Show. A couple 100,000 people showing up in Vegas talking about, consumer electronics. They have changed their name, which is interesting. They are now the Consumer Technology Association. Matt, since you are our resident Resi guy and gal, let's get into this.
I'm the guy and the girl.
I don't have a residential. Well, I guess Heather Sidorowicz would be my residential person. Woman.
It's the hair, Matt.
And Julie Jacobson. So they changed the name from Consumer Electronics Association to Consumer Technology Association. Some people would look at that and say, okay, what's the big freaking deal? It's one word. I personally think it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal. Why is it a huge deal?
Huge deal. Well, because we've been talking on and off for a couple of years now that the way to survive in this industry, especially on the residential front, is to get past just selling boxes. Get past just selling speakers and receivers and TVs. And this is the culmination of all that stuff coming to pass, with them changing and getting away from just electronics to the all-encompassing technology. they are embracing this concept that electronics are just a means of getting to the technology. And, Rich Fregosa, who was on our residential week last week, or this week? This week.
It was
this week.
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, this week. Yeah, it's been a very long week. He was talking specifically about how he is a technologist. He's not an AV guy. He's not an audio guy. He's not a video guy. He's a technologist. And I think this is something that if our side of the industry, both the CD and the Infocom channel, kind of embrace behind the CES group, we will continue to make ourselves fit that channel and really fit our customers' needs.
All right, Mr. Tucker, from that aspect then, Infocom International is known as the trade organization for the audiovisual industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should they go more towards the technology industry?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't actually thought of it from that angle because Infocom's central focus, though, has been more the integration and installer custom guy, right?
But like Matt said, we're trying to get away from selling boxes.
But isn't that what CTA does?
No, CTA,
I mean, they sell little
a trade
pieces and
organization.
parts, and their name change, ostensibly to me at least, comes from the Internet of Thingies revolution. That it's so more pervasive and ubiquitous that it covers more than just, say, your home stereo video projector and light switchy things. It really is that whole infrastructure, but their infrastructures are more disparate than centralized, as we like to do. I don't see Infocom going that way because we're not looking to promote the sale of these off-the-shelf boxes. Isn't that what most of this stuff is? That consumer part of it in the beginning didn't change, did it?
No.
So, right. That's my take on it. I mean, the name change, as they show in the article or the little press release they did, it's changed over the years. They started off as the radio technology or something, radio appreciation. I forget exactly what it was. But that changed over time as the technology focus changed for them. Who knows, in 20, 30 years, it could be the Hologram Association because that's the main push. I don't know. But they're very adamant and honest about that. So it really, I think, is focusing on that the nature of the infrastructure has changed for them, and that's a main push of it.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens at CES this year because full disclosure, I've never been to the show. Lots of friends who have been. We mentioned Julie Jacobson from CE Pro. Our buddy Rich Fregosa typically goes about every other year. It'll be very interesting to see what happens at that show because you've got the televisions, you've got the players and this, that, and the other. You also have an entire section apparently that are nothing but USB little gadgets, right? It's the little fan that plugs into your USB drive and can cool you down at work, I guess. To be very interesting. Kelly,
well, I'm sorry, just to interrupt. To that point, look for like Dave Danto. He's going to be doing something for us from that show.
Oh, that's right.
So it'll be very interesting. He goes every year. He gets to judge it. And again, back to that Internet of Things, that's a large portion of it, and he's looking to cover a lot of that.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
See, I think the biggest thing is that over time, we just continue to see our industries evolving and encompassing more and more parts. And, 5 years ago, you very rarely saw people in the boardrooms embracing iPads and BYOD. And now that's prevalent, and if you can't provide it, you're left out. It'll be interesting to see how much more just kind of generic tech shows up at CES.
That's a good point. Kelly, from an integrator standpoint, Matt's an integrator from London, Ontario. AVI Systems is an integrator. I'm going to get this wrong, but 16 or 17 locations throughout the Midwest. Yeah. A couple out in California, or one in California. One in California?
One in California.
One in California. How do you guys look at sort of the, we're AV, but we're also electronics, but we're also technology. How do you exactly, market to your end users, really?
Well, I see both Matt and George's points on this, where it really is, where Matt said it's a culmination of technology, not just boxes anymore, and it's not just in the residential area, it's also in commercial where, it's a lot of software, it's a lot of apps, it's a lot of, a lot of the control is being run over iPads and through software. And even look at the way the industry is going People are using software a lot more than hardware these days. So I see that aspect of it. I get where George is coming from. They kind of, I feel like you're kind of saying it's like a fad. You know what they're naming. Are they going to name their trade show CTS? But I think
That'd be awesome.
I don't know.
Oh gosh, hosts would just run rampant.
Well, I have to I'll interject on that. I don't think it's a fad. I mean, they've changed their name along with the technology's focus. So radio was radio, it was big. If it was TV, they didn't really become TV, but they became something associated with that.
Okay.
You could call them sort of, riding on the coattails of something, but they really are saying this is the focus of that consumer electronics. When you could go out and buy radios on your own and not have to go through a dealer or a specialty shop, it really changed the whole focus of the industry. The same is happening again, whether it's control or media.
Yeah, because just as I guess a history lesson, you used to have to go to a radio dealer, just like you used to have to go to a television dealer, and that person typically was also your repair person. We don't have dealers. We don't have repair people for either one anymore. So.
No, they're all
that was
consumables.
Just for the record, that was way before my time. Okay, I'm not that old.
Mm-hmm.
Close. Shut up, Matt. All right, up next. This might be a secret cow to some people, but I'm gonna gore it because it's been chomping at me since Infocom. And it was there at Cedia as well. And God loves Stampede. I have no issues with Stampede. Nice people, and I have some friends that work at Stampede. This is not about Stampede. Now that I've said that, Kaylee Welch from AVNetwork.com writes this piece: why it's time to consider drones. And obviously the fact that Infocom had a drone pavilion, nice pavilion. It was like, 50 feet from our booth at Infocom. Got to watch it, the entire week. They had a pavilion at CEDIA this year. I believe they also have one at ISE coming up in Amsterdam in February. I'm just going to flat out say this. I don't get it when it comes to AV. You guys can all three tell me I'm wrong. Kelly gave away a drone at one of her AVI Systems regional events this year. It was great. I get the fascination with them. I don't get the AV tie-in, I guess. Mr. Tucker, we're going to give you first crack at this. Is it time to consider drones?
I'm really conflicted about this. I tended at first to pshaw it when we saw it at Infocom. And I have difficulty in thinking of it as an AV piece of gear. They make the argument for broadcast. I don't think that argument stands tall because it's dangerous still. So you're not going to fly it over a football field or a football game in place of the wire-guided stuff, because if the wire-guided stuff gets stuck or fails, it doesn't fall on top of people, right? In all likelihood. As a camera and as something to use as a specialty item, I get it. But beyond that, I don't understand the push still. Somebody convinced me that even when they say a drone could be a tank or a wheeled object, or are we talking then about a personal assistant, something that flies by with you and is always with you to document something? Maybe, but I'm confused by it, and I've yet to see a solid argument that shows it truly in the wheelhouse of AV.
Okay.
I just can't see it.
What would you use it for?
Exactly.
Like, is there even an example?
What? They use the example of like football or a game, or doing a broadcast remote with it.
Okay, so I could see like you said, the broadcast angle, but what on earth would you use it for? And like you said, in AV.
Some of the use cases were this, and this is what was out there. I went by the Stampede Pavilion at Infocom. Things like camera, obviously angles, shooting things. Cable, infrastructure, assessment to make sure that things are where they're supposed to be in hard to reach areas. Also, possible moving things from place to place. So I don't get it. So
Are you saying the hard to reach places? It's the high tech bat scratcher? I mean,
yeah. Matthew, anything?
I'm with George. I don't understand the use case. I love watching everybody go up at the shows and play with them and drive them into the curtain fence things, the protective shields. I don't understand what we're supposed to do with them. And if someone could please let me know, that would be great, because I would love to get one past my wife just to screw around with. But I can't.
Okay, so let
I can
me
justify I can justify buying a lot of stuff. I cannot figure out how to justify buying a drone.
Okay, let me ask this, because we had a couple of friends. Kelly, I mentioned that she gave away one at her event. Our friends over at Commercial Integrator gave away one at Infocom. Since they're not here on the phone, I'm going to pick on Kelly. Kelly,
yay!
Why did you give away one?
Because they're cool.
And that's a valid reason, I think. It's the best reason.
It's the best reason.
Yeah. But
it's like getting, it's like buying your dad like one of those, like remote controlled helicopters or whatever. They're cool and they're fun.
Here's a further wrinkle, though. If you've been watching the news, the FAA wants to regulate them.
Amen, brother.
Harshly.
They are regulating them.
Well, not
yes,
really.
Well, but they're starting to get really hammered down on this, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
So what usage with that restrictions are going to even increase the? I just don't see that.
Well, the restrictions will kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be frank. And God love the government. I have my own political leanings, and they're probably unlike anybody else's. It'll kill it, right? And just not. I'm not saying this as a overarching government kills things, but if the FAA decides to come in and start regulating this on the level that they have done such a wonderful job with the wireless frequencies and microphones, good God, they'll kill it. They'll kill the industry, right? They'll kill the independency. They'll kill the guy who wants to shoot a sweeping overarching view of your building, or what have you. Our buddy that comes with us at a lot of our shows, Josh Pippins, he's a videographer by trade. That's what he does. And a lot of his business in the St. Louis area is he shoots homes for people, right? High-end residential homes that are for sale. He just did one here recently that it was
cool.
Gorgeous home. Oh my gosh, gorgeous home. $3 million home here in Edwardsville, Illinois, which is southwest Illinois. And just did these wonderful shots. FAA comes in and says, I'm sorry, sir, you have to register this, and you have to tell us your flight plan, you have to, all these other things. It may not kill it, but it'll clearly infringe on it. How about that?
And I will say that is pretty much my only, to date, that is my only use case for one, is we can get it, we can throw a 4K GoPro on it, and we can shoot some phenomenal product shots of installations.
Sorry.
And that's a $1,600 entry price to be able to shoot some promo videos.
No, you can get one for $500. Can you?
About. Well, to get one that's super stable and all the other fun stuff. Like a DJI is still, and remember it's Canadian dollars, so it's that's like $5 US right now.
The only argument I see here is for a camera platform. Chris Netto just tweeted at me that it's about live installations. It's a theatrical prop, which is the argument we've all been making. I think is that's really it. So it's a camera mount. So is a Steadicam. We're not saying that that's AV, are we?
No,
not from the resi or commercial integration perspective.
They don't see them
broadcast, but nothing else.
Yeah, but that's sort of like a remote camera. Okay.
No, I have been asked about integrating a drone into a house of worship for broadcast. And again, by the time you put the dollars and cents behind it, there's to get the wireless transport to work live, it's just not even feasible.
And like George said, what if it fell on someone's head?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, no, the liability is ridiculous.
Ow.
I mean, can you imagine having that conversation with your insurance agent? Yeah, we're doing this. We added some lights. And, oh yeah, by the way, we have a drone.
Yeah, it's going to fly a broadcast quality camera over parishioners.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, it has blades.
Yeah, blades. I mean,
Rotors.
who was it? Was it Iglesias?
Yes.
Was at a concert and was like
Yeah.
screwing around with the drone.
Oh, yeah.
Went and grabbed it, and the guy had to have stitches and everything. They're not.
There was a case a year and a half ago of a guy who was decapitated because he had a quad blade.
Seriously?
Very big. Yep.
Missed that one.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the third decapitation conversation I've had today.
That's weird.
Starting to get really
let's move
weird.
on. Let's move on. Friends over at Commercial Integrator, we mentioned them, so let's do a story from them. The Commercial Integrator 2015 Brand Preference Survey reveals integrators' loyalties. I'm not going to go into all of them. You can read them on the link. But here's where the real question comes from. And Kelly, we're going to start with you on this. When it comes to both integrators and let's also talk about your end users. But first from the integrators part. How do brands, how do manufacturers get your loyalty?
How do we get? Okay.
So-
I would say, number one, the products have to work.
Out of the
And
box
number-
or eventually?
Out of the box would be ideal. And then if something goes wrong, they have to be able to support it. They have to have the support behind it. That's really important. And we have to be able to make money on it as well.
That's important as well. All right, Mr. Scott, from your standpoint, how do brands gain your loyalty and keep your loyalty, honestly?
That's a tough one. We like to be supported. We like the ability to, if we have a problem, get somebody on the phone. And my clients are the same way. We try to keep them by making sure that if they call, we're there to pick up the phone. If they send an email, we can get back to them. We can get them answers, even if it's just, we'll look into it. We don't know. For us, brands are tougher because we buy a lot of stuff through distribution. So we get kind of stuck into that little area, which can be a little bit more challenging. But brands that, take care of us are the ones that we spec them all the time. And, I can mention names on some of the companies that we love the most. And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that they're there for us when we need them.
Yeah, they
and
care.
we can make money off of them. That
And
helps.
you make money. Hold on, yes. All right, George, I'm going to hit you with one, and then we're going to backtrack on the second part of this question. First, how do brands gain your loyalty?
An open bar.
Jeez.
No, I mean, look, what Kelly and Matt said is true.
Trade show.
At
At every trade show. In my house, just bring it by.
Yeah.
Welcome, always. No, look, what Matt and Kelly said is basically true, right? Support and working gear. Support, actually, I think, is the most prevalent and the most decisive factor, I think, for most people. If you have that support and you have the infrastructure, I think that's where you see some of these brands that are up in that list, especially the ones like Crestron and some of the Harman Group guys. They're all there. Why? Because it's an integrated network of stuff.
Yeah.
Whether that means your distributors are integrated and be able to provide you the gear end to end, even if it's not just the same platform, or more importantly, is it providing you an infrastructure to connect things in a way that is, I don't want to say seamless, but quite straightforward to do, avoiding the simple thing, and then having the support to do that. And can they talk you through purchasing to connecting to configuring the IP? That I think comes to real big importance.
All right, so the flip side of this question is there are a number of companies that have come and gone in the AV space. Let's say in the last 20 years. Obviously, the last 100 years there's been plenty, but let's just talk about the last 10, 15, 20 years. Mr. Tucker, once they've lost it, and I guess I should ask this, a company comes out with, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 lemons in a row, right? And they lose your confidence, they lose your preference, they lose that loyalty. How do they lose that loyalty, and how do they get it back? Like, what is that tipping point?
Well, I think the losing the loyalty, of course, is not providing the support or admitting that you were wrong. How many companies have we seen in the past who would use a quick turn of phrase to undervalue or underappreciate what everyone knows is going on, right? Back in the 90s, pre-Twitter, pre-explosion of social, it was kind of hard to collate all that information and come up with a common, yes, this is happening. You'd have to sort of talk to your coworkers, talk to some competitor coworkers, that kind of thing. But now if you don't admit it, you're going to lose them completely. And I think that's the bad part. We all know that lemons happen, and that sometimes, they think something's going to work and they think they're going to be able to meet that, but it doesn't happen. As a point of example, how many companies, especially in our space, do you see putting out vaporware?
Oh, yeah.
These days, in the last 5 to 10 years, almost none are announcing anything that would be vapor. 10 years ago, well, we got one of those. Here's what it does. When is it going to be released? Soon. Or as I said, my favorite word when I was managing tech support at sometimes was, when will it be fixed? Presently.
Presently?
Look at the definition. It has no defined endpoint. It is sometime soon.
I would hate you.
But but sometimes that's the position you're in.
Yeah.
The idea is to say, that's weird. We've heard a few reports. We're trying to resolve it. Here's what we know to do now. Mm-hmm. And then if you find that you've completely foobarred it and the product really is foobarred, in my personal opinion, you go, we're going to credit you for that. We're going to make it better. And we're going to make it in the long run. We're going to take the hit. And we're going to provide a better solution. In the end, it's just like this. We're coming up on the holiday season. It's just like the Miracle on 34th Street. Where do I get that red fire truck? The place across the way has it. We're not going to push what we have. Yeah. They'll come back to you because you gave them honest advice.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, if once somebody has kind of, put you in a bad spot, how do they get you back?
They usually don't.
But you're different in general, normal people.
They've got to work really hard for it. It is incredibly difficult to regain lost trust. And, it's one thing if it's a perceived slight or if it's a minor issue that you're just annoyed with due to the, fact it screwed you up on that job. It's another thing if it's, blatant issues that are coming to light. Vaporware is not a big deal because as long as they haven't taken your money for something they never shipped, are we annoyed with it? Does it bother us? Yes. Do we really care that much? No, because we knew it was vaporware. As soon as they said, we have the magic box, it's this big and it does everything, we knew they weren't shipping it. We knew it was never coming. But I'll be blunt. When somebody, whether it be a rep or a manufacturer or even a salesperson at a distributor for us, when they do something that is blatantly false, and we know that they're just giving us something to get us off the phone or to get us out of their office, as soon as that comes to light, the likelihood that myself, for example, will ever go back and buy anything from them again is very small. And I've had conversations with a couple, manufacturers over times of, yes, we've had this product. Yes, I know you're a great guy. I will never buy your product again. I don't care how great it is. There are, and I think that's something that's kind of forgotten in this industry is, as small as we are, there's nobody who makes one thing that somebody else doesn't make a solution for. I can always go find somebody who
sometimes.
There's always a way to achieve that situation without something. And, most times we can do it.
Most times.
As much as, yeah, well, again, we're talking for your average installation.
Yes.
You can always go source those parts somewhere else.
Yes.
And for us, it's one of those things where we've got a couple companies that we never purchase from. And when they ask, we tell them. And I'm quite blunt about it. Now, granted, I'm not going to name them here because that's not fair. But yeah, once somebody violates our trust, it's very hard to win it back.
All right. Kelly, same question to you is how does somebody get your trust back?
I think number one, admitting you're wrong and making up for it by, support and extra attention, I guess. I think manufacturers kind of forget that we're the ones in the field looking like idiots if we overpromise something to our customers and it doesn't work. And, we're calling them and they, like Matt said, if they're giving us the runaround and not being honest about what's going on, it infuriates us and it puts us in a really, really bad position. So I would say admitting you're wrong, manning up and just saying, we screwed up, and we're not going to let this happen again.
All right, very good. Last story real here, and it's not really something that I need you guys to comment on. You can if you'd like. It's just something fun. Also to mention the fact that we're going to ISE.
Let's do it.
At friends
Let's
over,
cycle.
I'll let you gladly cycle, and you can carry me. No. Our friends over at AV Magazine, AVinteractive.com. You can cycle to ISE. Make your journey to the 2016 Amsterdam ISE show, 9th to 12th of February, and raise money for an AV charity since. They are leaving. The one thing I should have emailed Clive about this. It doesn't say where they're leaving from, but you're apparently biking for 120 miles.
Which side of Amsterdam?
Well, it's 120 miles from Amsterdam, so pick a country, right? But it's you need to raise a minimum of 1,450 pounds. So it's possible you're leaving from London, although the AMX team that they're showing here is taking a picture outside of Paris, or inside Paris, because the Eiffel Tower's there. But you can bike your way to ISE in Amsterdam in February 2016, where Mr. Tucker and Mr. Matt Scott and I will be proudly broadcasting from. And,
Are you guys going to cycle?
No.
Matt and George will. I will drive along in a Fiat and cheer them on. It's the most European car I can think of.
Can it be like a powered cycle?
No, that would be a motorcycle. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for this week. Mr. George Tucker, thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. Where can people find you? And actually, let's start with this because George is the one that does this better. What do we have coming up, and what's really freaking awesome?
All right, release this Sunday will be a DIY show where you're going to post this Sunday, Monday, but DIY show is new. There'll be a brand new Connected coming up. We're going to be going to the CES Wine and Dine sort of extravaganza.
Oh, that's right.
In New York City, you go and take a look at some of the new IoT gear and be able to photograph it and get some free grub. So it'll be a lot of fun, actually. Let's see. There's going to be a new light Past, that is the lighting guy, has been rebranded with the people from Arch SSL magazines about lighting, so it's going to get a lot deeper and more architecturally relevant. And then a whole host of other things coming up that I'm not quite ready to talk about, but they'll be there soon.
All right, very good. Also with us is Miss Kelly Perkins. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And you have a new AV social coming up?
Yes, right after this, I believe.
All right. And where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at AVI_Kelly or AVIsystems.com.
All right, very good. And last but not least, Mr. Matt D. Scott, who has revamped and restarted doing things for AV Apps Show.
Mm-hmm. Finally.
Oh, I know. It'll be posted next week as well. Sorry.
No,
yeah, thanks for forgetting about us, George.
Well,
this is those slights we were talking about.
Where can people find you?
Again.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott. You can find me pretty much anywhere on any social network as that, or Google me. I'm reasonably easy to find.
All right. That was it?
That's it.
All right.
I can plug other stuff.
No,
what else would you like me to plug?
Up to you. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me, but go by the website if you would. Please, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. One of the shows that we did this week that Matt kind of made allude to, we're trying out something. We're trying out a residential version of AVWeek. It will be called something else, but we had our first go at it this Monday with Julie Jacobson, Matt D. Scott, Rich Fregosa, and Joe Whitaker. So check that out if you would, please. All the other shows, sign up for the newsletter.
Vote for Joe.
Vote for Joe at the CEDIA's board of directors is up for nominate or voting. So if you're a CEDIA member, vote for Joe and check them out. If Joe's not the one for you, vote for the ones that are right for you. So, all right, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been AV Week.